Hello everybody, welcome back to United View. Welcome back to a solo Dylan episode of What the Devil. We are episode 82. We've been doing this for a while. I feel like, I'm getting to know you guys well. You guys are getting to know me well. Normally we have a load of guests on, but this week it's just me. It's just Dylan. And I'm here to talk during the international break. Just, about Manchester United, all the latest news that's going on. But also, I want to know, how are you guys coping with the international break? Because for me, I've had a bit of a tough time with the whole one game a week, just every weekend. If we lose that game, suddenly it's, we seem to not be winning two back-to-back games in a row. I'm there thinking, what am I doing with the rest of my week? United have lost. There's no midweek game to make up for it. And now, obviously, we had the 2-0 win against Sunderland, and that had me in a good mood for a few days. But we're getting to the international break now. We're getting into the trenches of it. And as much as, we might like international football, you get to see Bruno Fernandes shining with Portugal. You get to see Benjamin Šeško playing for Slovenia. You've got maybe you're an England fan or you don't support England like me. I'm a Welshman myself, so obviously Wales playing England tonight. So I'm very up for that. But I do feel as if we're missing something. Like the one game a week international break. It's a bit hard, but there's still news to talk about. There's always news surrounding Manchester United. There's the Saudi takeover stuff that's been going on the last 24 hours. We will delve into that soon. You've got stuff about Kobbie Mainoo in England just coming out. You've got other stuff. But yesterday, what came out from Samuel Luckhurst, obviously former Manchester Evening News, now he works for The Sun. So as much as you might want to bash the publications, he's still a guy who knows his stuff. And he said that Harry Maguire is close to signing a new deal at Manchester United. There's been a lot of swirl around Harry Maguire in the last 2 years. You've had the whole captaincy issue, his poor playing over the last couple of years, and then his sudden resurgence. Initially under Erik ten Hag, and then he became one of Ruben Amorim's staunch guys, didn't he? Alongside Casemiro, alongside Bruno Fernandes. It was Harry Maguire as well was part of that group. He was playing well in the Europa League games. He was being depended on in the box when we needed a goal towards the end. But I want to talk a bit more about how much does he actually, how does he deserve a new deal? What's the thinking here? Because the state of play of Harry Maguire right now is that he is a fourth or fifth choice centre-back. He's played 5 or 6 games this season. He started 1 or 2, but then he was dropped for the most recent one, the win against Sunderland, because against Brentford, he wasn't great. He was playing in the middle centre-back role, that role that Matthijs de Ligt has been smashing so far this season. And him going out to play in the middle centre-back role meant that Matthijs de Ligt had to move over to right centre-back, which meant that Leny Yoro was dropped. And with Brentford just looking to run the ball over the channels, run the ball over the wide centre-backs, I don't think it was a good idea, because Matthijs de Ligt isn't the quickest in the world. On the turn, he's not amazing. When the ball's on the ground, he's defending on the floor, he's fantastic. But in terms of, on the turn and trying to get him behind, I always thought Leny Yoro's the better man for the job there. But Ruben Amorim thought, I want height, and so drop Yoro, play Maguire in the middle and move the Ligt to the side. And it wasn't good. And I do think, as much as Maguire he's a good person to have around in the dressing room, according to reports. He's part of the leadership team. He's well respected. He's very good with the academy players and stuff. I'm not sure about whether we should be handing him, a full-on new contract. I wouldn't mind an extension if we're talking 1 or 2 years, same salary. I can see why we might want to, but there's a number of centre backs that United are going to have to sign this summer. So if we're to go through our centre-back list, Manchester United's first team centre-back list, you've got Maguire, obviously right back, but under Ruben Amorim, he's a right centre-back. Maguire, Matthijs de Ligt, who's a starter, then obviously Harry Maguire, Lisandro Martinez, who you can only assume will be a starter once he comes back from injury, which is hopefully soon, some reports suggesting that he'll be back after the international break towards, playing again by the end of October, which would be awesome. Malassi as a fullback, and then you got Leny Yoro, Luke Shaw who's playing as a centre-back, Aiden Heaven, Tyler Fredrickson. That doesn't fill me with massive confidence. There's some of the centre-backs there. I think Heaven is fantastic. I think Yoro is just an incredible young talent. I really like Matthijs de Ligt. I don't know how you guys feel about Matthijs de Ligt. I really like him. Maguire in a back three at right centre-back, he's good as well. He's obviously got his injury issues at the moment, but when he's playing and when he's on form, he's great. So I'm struggling at the moment to think about is he worth keeping as an extra option because Ruben Amorim is playing, 3 centre-backs, so Sergeant Ratcliffe is saying that he wants 3 years of Ruben, because we had basically 1 year of Ruben Amorim, haven't we, right now? It's coming up to the 1 year mark. So he's had one of those years, and Ratcliffe is saying, give him 3. So if we are on the assumption that we are going to keep playing a 3 at the back system, Ruben Amorim is going to stay, you need, 6 or 7 centre-backs in your team, and I can understand why keeping Harry Maguire might be the better option, because you just keep him as a 5th, 6th choice centre-back. Almost like a Johnny Evans role. But if it's to do with playtime and keeping him playing and everything, I'm not a fan of that. I want to see us bring in a new first choice or competing first choice left centre-back. Out of the centre-backs, that's my priority. Because Aiden Heaven, I think, is fantastic. But he's 19 years old. I want him to compete with someone. And I don't want him to compete with Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw's time is... I don't know how you guys feel about Luke Shaw. That's a whole other topic. Luke Shaw's time feels kind of over, doesn't it? It feels like we're creeping towards the end now. He's been... on United District last week, we posted a photo of United's starting 11 when they last played Sunderland, which was in 2017. And guess who was at left-back? It was Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw was at left back. It was crazy. He's still here. But it's Harry Maguire's at centre back. He's got to be in the Johnny Evans role, isn't he? He's just got to be someone who's going to play their part maybe here and there, come off the bench a couple times. But he can't be relied on, I think, as a first team defender, like week in, week out. Well, I do want to say, guys, get your comments in, get your likes in and everything. Let me know what you think about Harry Maguire potentially getting a contract extension. I don't think it's a new contract. Like, it's not going to be a new flashy 5-year deal with an improved wages or anything. I think it'll be like it's going to be like a 2-year deal. A 2-year maybe with a +1 option. Because I don't see anything else. But I know you guys left your comments, and we're going to go through some of them now. So Shaq says, time to move on, which I get. I do get it. Harry Maguire's he's on about 140 grand a week at the moment, because his contract was 190, but the Champions League clause meant that he's now on about 140. It's a 25% drop off. 1 year extension at most. No, he don't write what's the next show about. We'll be talking about a lot more because there's a lot more news to come out. But I wanted to start with Harry Maguire. He didn't deserve to. So Grace says he didn't deserve to never play for Man United in a million years. Please, enough of the dragging this defence to its knees. Please leave Man United in peace. Is it a benefit if he leaves? This is the other thing. Is like it's one thing. If he leaves, obviously it frees up centre back space. Is that could he be leaving to free up space for, let's say, Aiden Heaven to move into a more advanced role? Because Aiden Heaven's barely played this season. We've seen him, 2 games? He played like 5 minutes against Fulham. And then he also played against Grimsby. He started against Grimsby Town. And he came off after 55, 60 minutes, I believe. So we've barely seen Aiden Heaven. We know how good he is. Like, again, last game of the season, Aston Villa at home, he was mint. And we've barely seen him since, which is unfortunate. So could be a way of the club making a bit of a mistake here. And giving him a new deal could potentially hinder the development of some of the other players. Or are they banking on getting back into Europe next season, having these extra games, being back in the Carabao Cup, being in the FA Cup? Are they banking on this to, get back? Sorry, I'll start that one again. Banking on this to have the extra players and flesh outs we needed, because as we've mentioned before, you need 7 or 8 centre-backs at your disposal if you're playing a back 3, because you've got your back 3, your first choice back 3, which is, at the moment, Lisandro Martinez, Matthias De Ligt and Lenny Yoro. That's what, for me, when everyone's fit, that's our first choice front 3. You've then got the others. You've got like Harry Maguire, you've got Nusayr Mazwari, you've got Luke Shaw, etc., who are the backups. And are they keeping Harry Maguire to be one of those backups, with the fact that you think Luke Shaw might leave? And there's also been questions about the future of Martinez as well, but that's a whole other conversation. Quinton Sayman says 1 year extension with a decrease in salary in case he wants to sell, with a release clause of 25 million. 25 million's a bit much, isn't it? 25 million's... we're not getting 25 million for Harry Maguire at 32, 33 years old, because he's not. I was surprised to think that actually, how old is he? Am I being a bit unfair? 32 years old. So he's turning 33 in March. So yeah, I don't see Don't see why we'd be getting 25 million for Harry Maguire. Don Grace says, too slow, always risky, and we can't afford his lack of ability in the way we play. That is true. That is true. I do think he's good in the central centre-back role at times. We saw it in the Europa League when teams are less aggressive, they're less intense, and for the most part, they're slower, because the Premier League is the fastest, quickest, strongest league in the world. We're not playing in the Europa League, we're only playing in the Premier League. So I do think that there is a certain level of... he's just maybe not cut out for it anymore. Like maybe he's cut out for coming off the bench in the last 5 minutes, in the opposition area. But realistically, he's... Like, what we're only doing that because we don't have better players who aerially, but hopefully we're gonna sign them. Like, there are rumours that we're gonna look for a new, more experienced striker in the summer, which I think is the right thing to do. I want to go for someone like, not specifically a Patrick Schick, but someone like that. You got 32, 33 years old, maybe like a Cavani type. When we brought Cavani back, who's just experienced, can get goals, good in the air, and just a bit of an all-rounder to help with Šeško, help cover the load, especially if we're back in Europe next season. So Maguire's biggest asset that Amrim seems to care about, which is his height and aerial presence, suddenly we don't need that much anymore. So Maguire's just he is going to fade into the background, I think. Like, I don't think Quinton Sayman says Shaw is another backup left back. Shaw is best at that. What do you think about Luke Shaw playing as a left wing back? Is that something you'd want to see, or are we too tired now? Are we too tired of Luke Shaw and constantly saying his name and just seeing him at the club all the time? Have we got to a point where we just go, enough's enough, got to get rid of him, cancel his contract? He's got 2 years left, or 1.5 years left. Next summer, he's still not out of contract, Luke Shaw. He's still got one more after that. Do we just cut our losses? Because Diego Leon is 18 and very raw. We've seen this. Like, in the under 21 games and in the preseason games, he has looked raw. He's really got to develop in the English game. Patrick Dorgu, that's a whole other conversation. He's 20, obviously. He's still young. He's younger than Kobbie Mainoo. He's younger than Toby Collier, for example. But he needs to improve. There's been lots of debate. Nick, DR Sports Nick, and he's come on this show quite a lot. We have a lot of discussions about Dorgu, and he says he feels like that Dorgu's technical ability, like his ability with the ball and making the right decisions, there's a ceiling there. And I don't know if he will actually make it as a full-on left wing back. Tabiz Lol, member of 39 months, UV Members Club, big up to you. He says, he hasn't deserved a contract ever since he came. He shouldn't have been ever signed either. If he is supposed to say, then max 50k a week. GGUV. A big up for you, yeah. GGUV. It's hard to argue that, isn't it? It's hard to argue against saying that, he should have been signed, because it was 80 million quid. Because there have been points where he's actually been integral to the team. He actually he was actually a pretty good start to life at Manchester United. I think Harry Maguire had a bit of the Paul Pogba-ness around him, where there was, and when like Van Dijk first had when he went to Liverpool, when it was like, 80 million pounds, no matter how much you do, you're going to get slated. If you make one little mistake in a game, that's all that's going to be talked about. Same with like Florian Wirtz, for example. He's not been great, but everyone's just focusing on it. And with Maguire, rather than him being able to just maintain his performance and let everything drown out, he became a bit of a clown, didn't he? In the way he was clowning in the media a lot, and he fed into his performances, and he was making mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. Then eventually that hands into him being dropped from captaincy. I do think a big problem with Maguire, when we initially signed him, and then we gave him the captaincy when Ashley Young left, and Maguire was 25, 26, I believe, and we gave it to him almost immediately. I think that was a bad decision overall. I think that shouldn't have happened, because we signed Bruno Fernandes 6 months later. And obviously, you're not going to hand in Bruno Fernandes the captaincy as soon as he joins. But I feel like it should have been someone else. I can't think about who at the time it could have been. Obviously, we had plenty of other players then who could have worn the badge and worn the armband and played more often than Harry Maguire, because it felt a bit like he was captain, so there was a subscription almost to having to play him every single week. And then performances then dropped, and then he kept making a mistake. He kept getting sent left, right, and centre by players. He was scoring a couple of own goals at point as well, and he was just miscommunication. Because he had the captain's armband on him, you couldn't really drop him. And then so it just kind of ate into itself. And only when Erik Ten Hag came in, and then there was almost this total reset, that Ten Hag had the ability to drop Maguire without having to admit maybe a fault of, like the Solskjaer maybe had, of deciding to captain him early that on. So he was allowed to then drop back from the team. Bruno Fernandes was allowed to be given the armband. And then obviously after Ten Hag's first full season, Bruno Fernandes was given the armband. But it's and I think from there, then Maguire then starts to fight back. He then starts to have the redemption arc story and idea. And then we kind of get to where we are today, don't we? With the potential of a new contract. It can't be on improved terms. It might be, maybe what United will do is give him a lower base wage and then some appearance-related add-ons. Because, when we do play you, you'll get more money. But if not, play a Johnny Evans type role. Because if he is, all reports say that he's very good with the academy. He's very good with the young players. He's very good with integrating them and being someone to talk through. Because obviously he's been through the tough times. Regardless if you think it's his fault or not his fault, he's been through the tough times, some of the toughest times as a player, in terms of what he had to go through, like he's spoken about with Rio Ferdinand and everything. And that's good. That's a good thing for the younger players to have. And regardless of what you think about his ability, it's still a good thing for the younger players to have. eReaver7ZUK says he's a solid backup and more than proved his worth. Next subject. I mean, if that sums it up for you, that sums it up for you. I do think overall, considering the financial state that we're still in, it's not like United can drop Liverpool-esque next summer. Like, there's still restrictions. We still lost £33 million as a company last year, but that was instead of 133 million, which is an improvement, and we'll slowly get back there to being profitable again. And once you're in profit, you're then flying. But I think it could be just a good idea of, instead of having to let go of Maguire and sign three new centre backs with potentially Tyler Fredrickson leaving or going on loan and stuff like that, keeping Harry Maguire, and then moving others ahead of him in the pecking order, such as Aiden Heaven, could be the way to go here. Like a 1 year contract plus another one, which would take him to when he's turning 34, turning 35. But for him, if he feels he can still play at 32, 33, would you not also consider the potential of, heading off to Saudi Arabia? Because I'm sure clubs would be interested. Because Harry Maguire is such a name. Like, he's such a global name. You ask non-football fans, can you name some players? For better or for worse, they'll be able to name Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire, he was everywhere. I remember my old little Harry Maguire pointing at things meme when I made it as a joke on Twitter for a couple of weeks when I was bored at uni. And it went everywhere. Harry Maguire was everywhere, for better or for worse. When he was playing well, when he was pulling, he was everywhere. So I can understand that, because there were reports saying that, that Saudi clubs would be interested in handing Maguire a deal. And if you're 32, 33, you could go and secure that contract. But if he loves United and he wants to stay, and the club are willing to, enter the talking stage, it's not dating, enter the talking period of before signing a contract, I completely get it. Quinton Seaman says, agree he must move down the pecking order for game time for youngsters. Yeah, I don't know what, I mean, okay, I know exactly why we haven't seen more of Aiden Heaven, because we only have one game a week, but it's so frustrating. Like, having to watch Luke Shaw. So, Ruben Amorim, right, I'm going to go on Luke Shaw for a bit. Ruben Amorim, he doesn't drop players that he bangs on about, needing to do the basics, that's why why he loves Mason Mount so much, because Mason Mount, he does the basics, he does what's needed, he makes the right passes, makes the right runs, makes the right presses, and he goes, not enough players in my team do these basic things. But then he doesn't drop them when they don't do it. Like Luke Shaw, you go back to the City game, like Foden's goal, he's asleep. Shaw is asleep in that. He's late, he can't work out where he is, he can't work out where other players are. I look at it and go, what's Shaw doing now that Aiden Heaven can't? Especially in a game like the Sunderland game. I thought the Sunderland game would have been a perfect chance in the second half. Joe Brown says, how old is Maguire now? He's 32, turning 33 in March. So, but I don't know, that Sunderland game, I wanted to see Mainu come on for longer. I wanted to see Aiden Heaven given a chance. I get we're under pressure. Amorim is under intense amounts of pressure right now. But I wanted to see a bit more, And Luke Shaw, when Martinez is back, I think Shaw's in trouble. The only way that Shaw can stay in his starting 11, as he has done when he's been fit for the last 8 years, is if he smashes it at left wing back. But then there's the whole question of does he have the legs for it? Because it's one thing playing as a left centre back in a back three, where you've got 2 defenders on your right and another on your left and a goalkeeper behind you. Shaw doesn't need to be covering mad amounts of ground. The Foden goal was Bruno's. It was Bruno's as well, but it was, if you look at it as well, like I just think Shaw was, there's been multiple times where, not necessarily conceded from it, but he's just looked like he's like not concentrating. It frustrates me. Lisandro Martinez as a left centre back, so much better. So much better. You got his passing range is fantastic. Think about, when Mbeumo and Šeško have been running past the defence now. You've been pinging up to Šeško and he's headed it on for Mbeumo. Lisandro Martinez has got that on a plate. Shaw's passing isn't actually that bad. But Sandro Martinez is so superior. He's also a better defender. I think he's probably a better leader as well. He'll help Le Mans. I think he'll help him a lot. And so it becomes a case of Luke Shaw won't be playing at left centre-back anymore. So he's got to start a left wing. If he wants to start, he's got to be a left wing back. So he's competing with Dorgu. But do we think that Luke Shaw can do the job that Dorgu's doing at the moment better than Dorgu does? Because Dorgu, he's got his. Well, I don't want to use the word faults, but he's got his improvements that are needed. I feel like his final ball is either too late or a little bit too rash. And I feel that, at times his touch might not be right, or he's not making the right runs, but he's working hard. He's working hard and he's getting up and down that pitch. And I think Dorgu is slowly improving. I mean, he needs to keep going. But is Luke Shaw going to be able to get on that pitch and play the 90 minutes that Dorgu has been? Because I'd say Shaw's final ball is better than Dorgu's. Shaw's got a great final ball on him. Like the Bournemouth goal, for example, the Rasmus Højlund scored last season, away against Bournemouth. Like Shaw's cross for that, he did a little dark cross inside, was fantastic. And we've seen it so many times with England or with United. Shaw's crossing is great. Jameen Levy says, Dorgu is a work in progress, too wild at times, but he will get better. I do agree. And is Shaw going to be able to match Dorgu's energy? Like, it's not once a week, but, Luke Shaw's hamstrings, Luke Shaw, his calf, and just the knee injury. I believe it might be a knee injury, and hip, like the multiple injuries that Shaw has gotten over the years. Like, we all know he's missed, 300 professional games in his career through the injuries. Is he going to be able to hack playing as a left wing back, especially on the left? Because on the right-hand side, the Ahmad and Mbeumo dynamic is a bit different, because that's the side that Casemiro's on. So Ahmad has the license to stay a bit further forwards, and Mbeumo moves in. Against the Sunderland game, we had Ahmad, we had Mbeumo, and we had Šeško. And Mbeumo was, if you go watch it again or watch some of the highlights, Mbeumo was really close to Šeško. It was, as a lot of people have mentioned, it was basically a 4-4-2 at points. It was Mount would then drop into the left. You'd have Bruno left centre mid, Casemiro right centre mid, Ahmad basically as a right mid. But because Casemiro was next to him, Casemiro wasn't pushing forwards. Ahmad's starting position can afford to be higher. When you've got Dorgu on the left-hand side, he's got to go up and down and up and down and up and down a lot more. And I just have massive questions as to if Shaw can do that. He might do it for 1 or 2 games, and then he'll pull his hamstring, and suddenly he's out again. So I got big questions on Luke Shaw. Baker says, I think Shaw should just transition to a centre-back. He isn't like his old self before his terrible injury. Yes, it's probably the best place he can still play now, but he's not the best player there. I wouldn't want to see him starting over Lisandro Martinez, for example. Obviously, Martinez has got his own injury problems, but also Aiden Heaven. Like, I don't look at what Aiden Heaven's been doing at centre-back and think, Shaw's a level up from that. I know Aiden Heaven is 19. I don't necessarily want him playing week in and week out in the Premier League. But just thinking longer term, and linking back to what we were talking about with Harry Maguire, United need a centre-back already. We need to sign a new centre-back. A left-footed centre-back like Jarrad Branthwaite, who can play on the left or play in the middle of the back three. Because I think the right-hand side, I'm happy with Yoro and Maguire, and at times maybe De Ligt, like covering that area. That's fine to me. But it's that, so we need a centre-back. And we're going to get rid of Shaw, so we need another centre-back. So if we then get rid of Harry Maguire as well, do we need to buy a third centre-back? And suddenly you've spent 100 million on 3 centre-backs, 2 of which are backup centre-backs, and 1 might play or compete in the middle of the park with De Ligt or on the left with Martinez. So thinking about the fact that I just don't think Shaw will survive, and I think that maybe keeping Harry Maguire, maybe just on a 1-year deal, 1 year plus one. Just push signing a Harry Maguire replacement to the next summer. But again, keep him towards the bottom of the pecking order. Maybe come in if injuries are needed or if you need to shore up the last 15 minutes of a game. It's a lot to think about, but I want to move on now, because obviously we've spoken a fair amount about Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw on the defence. Just to go off some news, is that England under-21s are ready to offer Mainu a chance to play after Lee Carsley reached out to the Manchester United midfielder. This situation, I know we went, so those of you who are watching the red carpet, earlier on this week, on Monday evening, we spent a lot of time on Kobbie Mainoo, and about if what's happening to him is fair at the moment, or if Amram's being unfair, or is it just a case of he doesn't fit the system, so therefore he's just not his guy. But I just want to see Mainoo playing football. It's a little, for someone who was playing in the European final at 18 years old, he broke his way. He was playing. He replaced Trent. If you remember, in the group stage games of England, 2024 World Cup, 2024 Euros, sorry, it was Trent Alexander-Arnold was playing in that number 8 position in midfield alongside Declan Rice. And by the time the knockouts came round, Mainoo had replaced him. It was Kobbie Mainoo who was playing from the start in the knockout games, and he played in the round of 16, I believe, in the quarters, in the semis, and in the final. So to then drop back to the England under-21s is a bit... I'm happy that he will just get some games because he needs games. Like you saw Brentford's third goal when Mainoo lost the ball, and at times when he came on again in some other games, he's got no rhythm. Peter Gutschewski, big up for the super chat. Thank you very much, mate. But he's just got no rhythm at all. So he needs games. He needs to get off that Carrington training pitch and actually play. And realistically, he's 20. So in the under-21s, that's fine. But I would love to just see Kobbie Mainoo playing some 90 minutes, even if it's with the England 21s. Also means that he will still be in Tuchel's mind. Because Mainoo is suffering as well at the moment. And I said this on DR Sports yesterday, from the fact that there are other young midfielders, English midfielders. You've got Elliot Anderson and Adam Wharton especially, who are smashing it in the Premier League. Adam Wharton, obviously, he's a massive part of Crystal Palace. You'd probably argue their best player at the moment, like definitely their highest value player at the moment. And he's fantastic in that midfield too, that Amram seems to feel that Mainoo, I know they're different systems, but Amram seems to feel that Mainoo can't hack. And Elliot Anderson is shining despite the fact that Forest are in the bin. They had a 9% chance statistically of being relegated at the start of the season. Now that's gone to 47%. Because of the Ange Postecoglou, 7 games, no wins across all competitions. Crazy. Absolutely mental. But yeah, so Mainoo's suffering from the fact that there are these other players who are getting game time, playing well in the Premier League and taking what is his spot, what was his spot to lose. But his lack of games means that he's lost it. He massively has lost it. But him being in the England setup and playing with the under-21s, playing with Lee Carsley, if I'm saying his name right, it'd be good for him. He'll be staying in and around England. He'll stay. I'm sure Tuchel will take a look at the under-21s and he'll watch Mainoo play and he'll go, "That's a good player." But yeah, the whole he's not going to start until like December, is he? Like realistically, our first midweek game is December 2nd against West Ham. Maybe he'll play then, because Casemiro can't play on two games a week. Maybe if we continue in the FA Cup in midweek. Or when the Premier League games are happening back to back, and you've got the double game weeks on the FPL. You've got, but he's just not starting. He isn't, is he? He's just not starting a Premier League game. I need the caffeine to keep going, but there's plenty more news coming out as well. I'm going to take a look now just for Matheus Cunha. Oh, lovely! Matheus Cunha is back with Brazil, learning off Carlo Ancelotti, of course. I want to know actually. What's your guys' take? What's your guys' take on Cunha so far? Because I think people are being harsh. Yes, he's not scored. Yes, he's not assisted. If you want, you can go on about the whole 007 thing. It's funny for about 10 seconds. It's funny when, all Verts hit the 007. Sancho was Bencho 007, but are we not older, more mature people now? Are we not going to take more stuff into context? Because Cunha, banging against Arsenal, was good against Burnley before he ended up coming off. He was one of our brightest players against Grimsby and in Fulham as well when he was playing at striker. I know he missed those 2 chances at the beginning of the game, but I thought he was great. He then got his hamstring injury. He missed the City game. He came back for the Chelsea game. Admittedly, didn't look amazing. And then Brentford game, again, less good. I think less good so far. Again, coming back from the hamstring injury, and then he obviously was benched against Sunderland, and Mason Mount played really well. But I want to know what your guys' take is. What is your guys' take on on Matheus Cunha and where you see him fitting in? Because I like that Mason Mount's playing well, and I like that we have Matheus Cunha in the squad. I think they're both massive positives. I don't see why. I also don't think you should compare them, because Mason Mount and Matheus Cunha are two very different players. As we're talking about, as I mentioned Mason Mount earlier, he does the basics right, and he makes Amorim's borderline impossible instructions at points look more possible, because he's simultaneously pressing the back line of our opposition, but he's also helping Bruno Fernandes cover the men in midfield, and he's going out to them playing wide at the left, and he's also coming drifting in the centre. He's a workhorse, and he does the basics right, and you can see why managers like him. Like, that's why Tuchel really liked him before, which is why I think he's definitely got a shout in the England squad. That's why you've got Ruben Amorim calling him a proper footballer. You got Eric Ten Hag was obviously signed him for 50 million quid. But that doesn't reflect badly on Cunha, I don't think, at all. Cunha's a different player. He's a maverick. And I think Cunha's going to be so important for this Liverpool game coming up next week. Like, next weekend, obviously, Liverpool away. Liverpool lost their last 3 games. Mason Mount will probably, and I think should, start that game. Mason Mount should be starting against Liverpool. Because he's a player with a toolbox, I think, to withstand that. Like, I am a bit worried about Bruno Fernandes in this Liverpool game. I will admit, and I'm really cautious about going into that game with confidence, because the last time we went into that game with confidence, we got smacked 7-0. Drawn their last two seasons, but both of those games I've gone in there and thought, oh, this is going to be rough. I mean, and it's ended up being okay. Like, I think our performance at Anfield last season, our performance that when Lisandro Martinez and Ahmad scored, I thought it was one of our best games under Amorim. It was one of our most pragmatic, but honestly thought it was one of our best games. But I think that game can be so fitted for Cunha to come off the bench in the second half. Because Cunha thrives on chaos. We know this. He's a player. He creates chaos. He creates a feeling of chaos. And he has defenders on edge. At any moment, Cunha can get the ball, do a flick, beat your man, and suddenly you're looking around. You don't know where he's gone. He's behind you. He's in on goal. And he can score. We've seen it at Wolves. He scored a lovely goal away at Anfield, in fact, against Liverpool for Wolves last season. He took it on his left foot, his weak foot, beat one man, swiveled around, and then banged it past Alisson. Like, I think it's the kind of game where you keep Mason Mount in there from the start to try and keep Liverpool contained, or try and keep your game plan tight. Liverpool will probably score. I don't think we're keeping a clean sheet at all in that game. But I think Mason Mount gives you flexibility to be able to press but stay tight. And then, he'll do his job to an absolute T. Then if he comes off after 60-odd minutes, because obviously Mason Mount was injured as well at the same time as Cunha, then Cunha comes on. The game might be 1-0 to Liverpool. It might be 1-0 to United. It might be 1-1. It could be 2-1 to Liverpool. It can be this game can really be anything. But Cunha, I think, will then just make Liverpool go, oh, okay, we're going to need to stay sharp here. Because if Mount's been pressing you, you're tired, right? Mount's been getting at you. He's getting at Szoboszlai at right back, if Frimpong's playing, then Mount will try and get behind Frimpong. He'll try and get at Konate as well, who's been not the best player for Liverpool at points. Obviously, he was great against Arsenal, but then other games like Galatasaray, he's not looked good. So I think this game is perfect for Cunha to come off the bench. It's a bit cringe, but when Gareth Southgate was talking about not substitutes, but starters and finishers. Cunha, I think, in this game is like a finisher, because if Šeško's not having a good game, you can take Šeško off and put Cunha up front. Or you could put Mbeumo up front, put Cunha on the right. Or you can take Casemiro off and then move Mount deeper and then put Cunha up there. I think it's the perfect game for Cunha to start off the bench. Jermaine Levy says he's forcing things. Some of the shots he's taking are in abysmal. I think he's not doing things natural because he's trying so hard to impress, but he will also get better as the season goes on. Katu says Cunha is going to be goated. It'll take a lot for me to stop believing him. Yeah, no, Katu, spot on. I do agree. I think he is forcing it a bit, because he wants that goal. If you were playing for Manchester United, if I was playing for Manchester United, I would be desperate to score. I'd be absolutely desperate to score. And we've seen how that can have a negative impact on players. Rasmus Højlund, right? It got to 10 games last season where I hadn't scored. And he's like, oh, I kind of need to score. So he's making these shots. He's kicking the post when the crosses aren't coming into him. And he's trying to force. And it hits 12, 13 games. And it's like, oh, I can't believe this. 14, 15, 19. And finally against Leicester, 20th game. And then Rasmus Højlund finally did score. It definitely affects you. But I think with Cunha, I've got a lot of belief in him. I think he's an amazing player. He is my favourite type of player. I love Mbeumo, right? But Mbeumo and Cunha are different. They're very different types of players. Mbeumo he's a machine. He's like Bruno Fernandes, isn't he? He's a machine. He gets the ball, he'll run. Most of the time, he'll make the right decision. He'll cut inside, or he'll run out. He'll try and shoot. He'll try and get the ball. He'll swing it in. He's a productive machine. Mbeumo is. Cunha is more of a. It's almost as if Cunha doesn't quite know what he's going to do when he gets the ball. So then no one else knows what he's going to do, which he then uses to his advantage. Like you can see, he reacts to how a defender defends against him. Like he waits for them to make the little move with the feet, and he goes bang bang. Okay, I'm gonna go in here, or I'm gonna Rabona it over there. I think Cunha is an instinct player, and when you've got really good technique like Cunha, when you've got a good brain like Cunha and good instincts, that makes for a hell of a winger, a hell of a midfielder, a hell of literally anything. But I think Cunha needs to just know and understand that his goal will come. And I think off the bench, keep him hungry, not keeping him trying to force it from minute 1 all the way to minute 90. Maybe just have him on the bench and then make him earn his spot back from Mason Mount, because after Mason Mount's performance against Sunderland, there's no reason to drop him. Quinton Sayman says, formation should/must be 4-4-2 with Cunha next to Šeško up front. It's Šeško up front is an awesome player. Yeah. The thing is we talk about this 3-4-2-1 formation, but against Sunderland, we basically never at any point actually had that formation. It's how we set out to start with, but I really enjoyed the 4-4-2. This might be a bit controversial because people weren't happy with the hoof ball that we were seeing. Le Mans was, as soon as there was any sort of press, Le Mans went, right, I'm going to find Šeško. And Le Mans, I think, he had 41 attempted passes and he completed 26 of them. But obviously when you're just hitting long ball, they're not all going to be successful. But I really didn't mind it as long as we was using it as preparation for the Liverpool game this weekend. Because Liverpool, you see Arne Slot, right? You remember the Newcastle game, right? The Newcastle game against Liverpool, where Liverpool went 2-0 up and Newcastle were a man down after Anthony Gordon got himself sent off. And then Newcastle got to 2-2. And it took a 100th minute winner from Rio, the 16-year-old kid, to then win that game for Liverpool. Slot afterwards came out, he went, I didn't see a football match. All I saw was long throws and free kicks and straight diagonal balls. He basically admitted that his team can't handle these long balls. His team can't handle direct football. And I know we're Man United and, you think, we're Manchester United, we should play our way. We should play our way no matter who we're playing against. But this game, if Arne Slot's going on about he doesn't like long throws, he doesn't like free kicks into the area, he doesn't like these constant corners, he doesn't like long balls trying to go, over his opposition heads, because Konate's slowing down a bit. You've got Van Dijk is slowing down a bit. The fullbacks seem to push so high. Do it again. Just do it again. It worked. It's worked against Liverpool before, as Slot admitted. And it's against Sunderland, it was a bit Route 1-ish, but I also think, just try it again. Try this 4-4-2 where you've got Ahmad on the right, Mason Mount on the left-hand side, then you've got the midfield two with Mbeumo and Šeško playing up front. Pick it up to Šeško. That guy's leap, it's crazy. I had texts afterwards, after that Sunderland win, just of the photos of... Just the photos of Šeško's big jumping celebration, and he's head height. Let this guy be an athlete. He's really strong, really quick, really fast, and really tall. Get the ball up to him. I think he can do that job a lot better than Højlund can. I think people aren't necessarily, you're comparing Šeško and Højlund and everything, but there's I think there's a lot more to Šeško that we've seen in these few games than we saw from Højlund towards the back end of last season. Quinton Sayman says, Bruno should also come off during a game. He never gets subbed, even when he's playing off/poor. Quinton, I agree with you in this scenario. Not all the time, as in shouldn't coming off every game, but there are games where I sit there and go, we might be better off without Bruno here. Even if it's games like the Sunderland game where we're winning. Like I was looking at that game thinking, we're 2-0 up. We're cruising. Bruno Fernandes isn't going to, beyond just running around a lot, in terms of defending, he's not going to help us a load because he's not necessarily, strong and powerful and everything like you would want from a defensive midfielder. So I was thinking about going, if Kobbie Mainoo is Bruno Fernandes' direct competition, play Kobbie. Play him for Bruno Fernandes instead of coming on for Casemiro. Those are those games where I'm thinking, Bruno Fernandes, I'm touch wood, it doesn't happen. But it's one of those things where the more that Bruno Fernandes doesn't get injured, I feel like something's going to happen. I really hope it doesn't. I love Bruno Fernandes. But part of me is looking like, he is 31. He's 31. And there's going to come a point where I think something might go. So start playing him for 70, 75 minutes. If we don't need him to finish a game, close a game, you may as well. Bruno never gets subbed, and he's almost got the right to not get subbed because of how often he's been so good for us. But it comes to a point where I'm just looking at Bruno Fernandes and thinking, you don't need to be on the pitch right now. So he shouldn't be on the pitch right now. When he's starting games and he's the captain, and 70, 75 minutes, if we're 2-0 up, 3-0 up, and we're at home and it's fine and we're all cruising, I do agree, I think he should come off. When he's playing poorly, he can still get the magic. He's still got that magic touch where he can produce something at any given moment. But I mean, if he's missing penalties, then actually maybe not. But Bruno Fernandes, if you're 1-0 down or it's 1-1 with 20 minutes to go, keep him on the field because you know what he can do and he can pull it out of the bag at any minute. But if you are winning games and Bruno's kind of cruising, maybe he's got his goal, maybe he's got his penalty or he's got his assist. He's got, if you're an FPL fan, if he's got his 12 DEFCON points, just take him off. Give Mainoo a chance. Because if Mainoo's his direct replacement, then surely what Mainoo can do at least some of what Bruno's doing. Mainoo's a great progressor. He doesn't pass the ball. He doesn't progress by passing the ball, but he progresses the ball by dribbling. And if another team's on the attack and Mainoo runs with the ball, he arrives in the edge of the area. Šeško's there, Ahmad's there, Mbumo's there, Cunha's there, Mount's there, Dorgu's there. Mainoo's got loads of options. We can probably score another goal. But the Liverpool game coming up is interesting. So, summing up, Harry Maguire contract, I think it's probably the right decision in terms of give him an extension, a 1-year extension or a 1+1 extension of his current deal, just because we can then delay signing a replacement for him until until 2027. But I don't want to see him high in the pecking order. Unless he really fights his way back. I don't want to see him getting minutes over Aiden Heaven when he doesn't need to. It's that kind of stuff. Or, I don't want to see him keeping Matthias de Ligt out of the middle centre-back position because Matthias de Ligt has been fantastic there. Jermaine Levy says, the reason I love Bruno, even with his mistakes, is because I feel we never get cheated with his effort, always gives 100%. Yeah, no, that is true. That's what I mean in the way that he's kind of earned, or he's almost earned his status as someone who doesn't get dropped. Because he's given 100% energy for 5.5, 6 years now. He's the captain. He does everything for this club. He's turned down £100 million contracts for this club. He almost deserves that. But Kobbie Mainoo, so England under-21s, he's been offered the chance to go play for them. I would very much like that. Just get him playing no matter what. I know it could be a bit what quote unquote embarrassing or whatever that he's gone from the first team back to the under-21s, but just get him playing, man. Get him playing. Keep him on the peripheral of Thomas Tuchel. And then if Mainoo does end up playing towards the back end of last season or goes on loan in January, then he'll be there because I do want to see him at the World Cup. 100%. But it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. I know it's been a solo show today. We've got hopefully new people coming in for What the Devil as of next week. We've got hopefully a star-studded cast coming in. But thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a pleasure as always to speak with you guys for 45 minutes on the United View channel. I will be on DR Sports 5 till 6 p.m. to preview the England game against my boys Wales with Jack and Co, the other guys on there on DR Sports. So at 5 p.m, if you guys want to hop over, watch us live at 5, that would be fantastic and I will see you there. But apart from that, make sure you like, subscribe, get your comments in. What do you think about Harry Maguire's potential new contract, all the Mainoo stuff, Bruno Fernandes? Cunha, Mount versus Liverpool. There's so much to discuss over the next week. But apart from that, I'll be back here, hopefully, with some guests at 1 p.m. next Thursday to preview the Liverpool match in more detail. I see you then.